my right side. Shall not come near my dwelling, cause I'm seated in the place of the Most High. 1,000 might fall on my side, 10,000 fall on my right side. Shall not come near my dwelling, for I'm seated in the place of the Most High. Victory, victory. Victory is mine, so divine. Say victory is mine, so divine. I hear a sound of war. Say war. Say war. Say war. Hey, 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 hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Ribba-bang-bang, hey. King-bang-bang, hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Ribba-bang-bang, hey. Ring-bang-bang, hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Skibba-ba-ba, hey. Say victory is mine. Victory is mine, so divine. Victory is mine. Victory is mine, so divine. The Bible says that the angels of the Lord move according to the word of God. Thy words have I hidden in my heart. So we're going into the pocket of our heart, and we're going to pull out our best scripture, because we are going to ambush the camp of the enemy. David inquired of the Lord, said, Lord, shall we go up and possess? Today the Lord is saying, you shall go up and possess. We are taking back everything that the enemy has stolen. We are taking back our marriages. We are taking back our finance. We are taking back our education. We are taking back our children. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Ribba-bang-bang, hey. Sking-bang-bang, hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Say victory is mine. Victory is mine, so divine. Victory is mine. Victory is mine, so divine. The Bible says, when David retrieved the Ark of the Covenant, he danced in victory. I wanted to bust a victory. Say that's in a victory. All right. There's still some stubborn situation that we need to address, and we are going in again. Militant. Set your face like a flint. All right. Pull out your best weapon. Are you ready? Say why. Say why. Why? Hey, hey, hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Ribba-bang-bang, hey. Ring-ba-ba, hey. Ribba-ba-ba, hey. Say the way you love me, 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 the way you love me. I hear a song of war. War. All right. The war done. So we are going to celebrate. I want you to hold your head up high. God, you serve a risen king, a great deliverer, and a great defender. And I want you to rock with me. I want you to dance with me, because we are dancing in our victory. Say why? The way you love me, 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 cannot defeat me. You fight my battle for me. Satan cannot defeat me. Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battle for me. Remember, Rebbe bang bang, sking bang bang, Rebamba bang, Rebbe bang bang, ring bang bang, Rabamba bang. The way you love me, the way you love me, the way you love me. Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battle for me. Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battle for me. Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battle for me. The way you love me, 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 the way you love me. The way you love me, the way you love me, Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battles for me. Satan cannot defeat me. You fight my battles for me. Satan cannot defeat me.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, or wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is indeed a good day. Today has been a good day. Trust that you had a wonderful day wherever you are. I want to say welcome to you. Welcome to my passion over there in Canada. Welcome to Maxine Jenkley over there in New York. Welcome, Tevin Cameron down there in Jamaica. Welcome, my brother. Welcome to Sean T. Hits. Indeed, family, how you doing? Minister Kimika, how you doing? Welcome to Shanicia Witten. Welcome to Veronica Witten. Welcome, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome. Maxine Gently is saying good evening. My passion is saying good evening. Shanti Hits is saying good evening. Sharon, hey Sharon, how you doing, family? Blessings. We miss you. Pastor Kelly, send greetings. Welcome. All right, I chose to start with this song before I introduce our guests. And one of our guests will be joining us at 7:45. All right. Before we do that, I was just here today, this evening, rather. I'm telling you, there are times when we need to get down into warfare. When you get into warfare, you have to be so prepared for warfare. And we were here this evening, my family and myself, and I decided to play some warfare song similar to the one that I was just playing a while ago. I just felt like I wanted to play some warfare songs. And so I turned on the system in the house and I started playing some warfare song. And then, of course, Mrs. Waite is always in a militant mood. And she was in a militant mood. And I'm talking about spiritually, right? And I went in my downstairs room to get this jacket that I'm wearing, this red jacket. But you know what? When I was going there, I was saying, we Jamaican, we just said, listen, sometimes we need to burn out the crosses, them. And that's exactly what I was doing. I started to burn out the crosses, them. And when I was coming back, I mean, I just walked that area. And when I was coming back, there was a snake there greeting me. A snake was right there greeting me. But guess what? We just destroyed somebody's destiny. Just destroyed it. Man, we chop it up in pieces, and got rid of it. Yeah, it's spiritual warfare. Once you get into a militant mood, and once you begin to speak, and I'm encouraging everybody speak. Sometimes when you go in your house, speak. Yes, speak to the demons. Let them know you are not afraid. All right. Let them know this is not your territory. All right. So you need to go. Yeah, man. I told them crosses, you need to go. And there, I just passed that walkway to go into the room for this. I've never seen a snake around here, by the way. Never seen one around here. And there goes a snake when I was coming back, greeting me. Yeah, man. And I stood up and looked at it. I mean, I was tempted to be fearful, because I hate snakes, but then my wife got into militant mood and she just did what she had to do as well. But listen, don't never be afraid of the enemy. The terror, the Bible talks about them. They come by night as well, they come by day, but never be afraid of them. All right. God has given us power. We've got the power. You've got the power. Utilize your power. Speak to them. Speak to them. Let them know you're not afraid and you're not staying here. So wherever you came from, you're going back. All right. But we didn't bother to send him back. We kill it. So we killed somebody that's right there. Yeah, we ain't sending it back. We kill it. So somebody's in turmoil right now, wherever you are. You might be listening to. All right. And if you're listening, welcome. All right, welcome. We're going to educate you today. The Bible says, no weapon formed against the children of God shall prosper. You cannot prosper. All right, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to my good friend, Pastor Kelly. Pastor Kelly, are you there? Yes, sir. How you
I'm
doing,
good.
sir?
I'm good, thank you. The joy of the
Amen.
Lord is with us, man. Blessings, that.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you something, man. And I tell people all the time, Pastor Kelly, we need not be afraid of the arrows and the
Yeah,
terrors. Yeah,
yes,
they will fly, they will come, but we are
yeah,
never afraid. And I don't understand if the enemy don't get the memo that we are not afraid. We are not afraid. We've been in
yes,
a
sir.
militant mood all evening, all evening.
Yes,
We've been in a
yes,
militant mood and we've been playing some militant songs. And we just
yes,
decided to burn out the crosses them. I say, you know what?
yes.
Listen, man, every crosses, going to come out of here.
Amen.
Yeah, man, we just start
Amen.
burn out crosses left, right, and center. And there
When
goes
when
this lovely snake. It wants to greet
that,
me, just like you're looking at me.
I
Yeah, man.
remember when I asked you if you have ever seen a snake around your area, you said no. So for you to
No,
say this now, this is
exactly.
serious.
Yeah, man. And I told my family because eh, my family saw it. My two
Right.
kids they saw it. As a matter of fact, when I looked around, my daughter was on top of the table. That's where
Wow.
she was. Yeah, she got on top of the dining table. My son,
Yeah.
he was not too afraid because he stood up there with me looking at the thing, and then
Yeah.
my wife walked around and came out of the where she was in the
Yes.
kitchen, and
Right.
and
Right.
he just got into action right away. And I
Yeah.
just called him and I said, listen, you need not be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. That's right.
Don't be afraid. God has already given us the power. But when we
Yeah.
see these things, we are not to take them for granted. Pastor
Yes.
Kelly, we're not to take them for
True.
granted
True.
because
True.
we know not everybody likes you, Pastor
Yeah.
Kelly. And there are
Yeah.
people who will smile with you. They will
Yes.
smile in your face, but deep inside they
Yeah.
wish you dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people like that out there. Look at what they did to
Mm.
Jesus. Look, the same people that
Mm-hmm.
Jesus fed, the same
Crucify
people
him.
that he
Mm-hmm.
healed, the same people that
Yeah.
he delivered. When it was time, when it was a moment of truth, what did they do?
Amen.
They said,
Amen.
crucify Jesus.
Crucify him. Hand him over to,
Crucify
yeah,
him.
and give us Barabbas. Amen.
Yeah, give us, crucify him. What should we do with Jesus? Well, crucify
Mm.
him.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
same man
Quickly.
just delivered them, who
Praise
just, they
God.
saw
Praise
him
God.
raised from the dead. They
Yeah.
saw him heal the sick. Them see him what did he heal?
Yeah.
He
And they,
fed
they,
them.
they didn't hesitate to say crucify him. Immediately
No,
they said
immediately.
crucify him.
And it was like a chorus. It was like a chorus. They were
Yeah.
all in one accord.
Yeah.
Crucify him.
By
You
him.
know, yeah. So let me tell you something, listeners. Good evening, my brother-in-law, Jermaine Reed. Welcome. Um, Never take it for granted. Don't take it for granted that everybody who smiles in your face loves you. Not everybody really loves you,
That's right. That's
so
right.
we got to always be in that militant mood,
Yeah.
where we understand as well, Pastor Kelly, that we're not coming
Yeah.
up against people. We
No.
should never
No.
come up against people, but we
You're
should come up
talking.
against the force,
Forces spiritually.
spiritual
Yes.
wickedness
Yes,
in
in high
high
and low
places,
places.
in
Scriptural,
in
yes, it
dark,
is.
yes, the darkness.
Amen.
That's what we
Amen.
should come up against. That's what we should come up
Yes.
against. My passion is saying the palm tree layers are the same ones who crucify. Yeah, they spread the palm
Mhm.
trees for him to walk on. They the leaves, and they took off their clothes,
True,
and they
my
did
passion.
everything.
True.
And then they cried out, "Crucify him!
The ones who
Crucify him!"
celebrated before. True, it's
Yes,
true.
yes, yes. Janet Mitchell, welcome, my sister. Welcome. So
But I'm happy
yeah,
that you didn't panic. I'm happy you didn't panic though. I know your daughter, they are
um,
children, but I mean you
I
and
was
wifey.
I was tempted, Pastor Kelly. I won't lie to you. I was tempted to be fearful when I saw it, because when
Yes.
I saw it, I stood up for a moment and everybody was looking
Hmm.
at me. And then
Hmm.
I said to my son,
Yes.
Nicoy, is that a
Yes.
snake? Is that a snake? And he
Mm.
looked around and said, yes, daddy. And by the time he said that, Amoya was on top of the table. And then my
Mm.
wife came around to see what was going on. And she sprang into action quicker than I did. She went
Yeah.
into action right away.
Yeah.
And my son took up her shoes and threw it at it, and it stood right there, just the same.
Yeah.
And when
Yes.
my son threw it at it, I saw my wife went over to it and just did what she had to do. She's
Yeah.
braver than I am, to be honest with
Yes.
you, when it comes up to those
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
we're never afraid. We're never afraid. Well, I've never
Yeah.
seen a snake
Yeah.
here. I've never seen one. But
Right.
spiritual wickedness, everybody, in high places, it is
Yeah.
real, but we are covered under the blood. So
So
we
the
want to put that.
blood.
And I don't know why
Yeah.
why I chose to wear red today. I don't know, because this was what I went to get in the closet when the thing confronted me. You
This
know?
is
Yeah,
burgundy.
yeah. Yes.
Close.
Brother Kevin is saying people don't understand how important that statement is. It is true. So greetings, everybody. We were on break. Pastor Kelly last weekend, this time we were preparing ourselves for great ministry in
Yeah.
uh, my producer. Let me know when the others are on so I can welcome them. All right. Thank you. We had great ministry at this time last week in Philadelphia.
Yes.
What an awesome time we had. Oh
I
my
tell
God.
you. And don't forget, we had a delay. We had a great delay reaching at the church, and it was
Yes.
the venue, the church. The church had take the all. I mean, take it all. I mean,
Our flight was delayed, what, 3 or 4 times? From
hmm
Florida, our flights delayed. And then when we got in, we had some challenge as well.
yes,
Getting the rooms. And after we got the rooms, we had to split up. We had to split up. And but I'm telling you, it was awesome. It was an awesome event. It was so
ready.
awesome that Philadelphia has asked for part two. And
Yes,
yeah, we'll be going back into Philadelphia. So if you're listening anywhere close to Philadelphia right now, just so you know, on the 16th of April, that's a Saturday before Easter Sunday, we are going back into Philadelphia for even a bigger and greater event. Yes, we have
ready.
confirmed with the artists that we'll be using. You can look out for that on our social media platforms. Those will be coming out soon. We have confirmed with the artists. We're going to just do a little shuffling up with the artists. We're going to be bringing some other artists on board. And they
Great
are very,
ones. Yes,
yes, they're very happy and excited to be a part of it this time. So we're going to be bringing Philly to the level. I hear Brother Hugh Osborne. Brother Hugh Osborne is saying that he's present and in the house. My brother Hugh, I'm telling you. If you want to know who is Brother Hugh, everybody, if you look on my social media, my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, the last post I made with the picture of Philadelphia, That guy in the red shirt at the front, that's Brother Yu. Brother Yu has been so supportive, so supportive. He and his wife. I looked at them and I was like, I mean, look at God's children. Yes, good.
Yes.
Pastor Kelly, today we're going to be talking about. I have some questions for Dr. Dunbar. Should be joining us soon, and also
Right.
Dr. Tom should be coming in at 7:45. Um,
Right.
but let's do a little chit chat and interact with our guests who are here, our listeners.
Mhm.
So listeners,
Amen.
tonight it's your night. You can interact. My producer will put everything up on the screen, so I'll be able to read what you say. All right, and we have a discussion. Now, Pastor Kelly, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Our topic tonight is: should women complain? Should women complain in the marriage? In the marriage, should women
Mhm.
complain about lack of sex? That means them not get much sex. Women, we know men always complaining, but should women complain due to lack of sex in the marriage? All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we go there, Pastor Kelly, for those who are just started dating, so just somebody just meet somebody, and both of you going out on a date or go out on a date. Do you think the bill should be split?
Coming from an experience, being one who had that joy, that wasn't in my thought. For me, it wasn't in my thought. I just sharing my side of the whole thing here. And I was so excited to find the last that I have to make sure I meet my responsibility right there as the male, as the man.
What makes
I
it
wasn't
your
thinking about
responsibility? What makes it
when
your
I said
responsibility?
repeat again that
Yeah, I was asking what made it your responsibility, or what makes it your
because
responsibility?
being right there as a man, you want to make yourself be, the man to take care of that. And
But
I felt it in my.
isn't that culture? Isn't that culture though, Pastor Kelly, where okay, because you are the man, it means that you must pay the bill. Isn't that a form of
But
abuse to us men?
it would be to this day, but within my entire being, I feel free doing it. I feel free. I don't know if because of how I perceive it, I seeing it to be, but I was really at that place where I just want to be the one to pay the bill.
Wow. I kind of feel like I
When,
become Minister Chemical beside you. Why you have to
no,
put it
but
away?
when I met Minister, no, she's not right beside me now, but she's downstairs. But I want to say, when I met Minister Kamika, I make her proud of me. I
All
made her
right.
proud of me because I within myself, she's coming from afar. She traveled that journey to come and look for me, and I took it on myself. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, Minister Kamika was responding that she's not beside her, she's downstairs. All right, all right. All right. My passion is saying who invites who should pay. She's saying who invites who should pay. I don't think that's a fair.
I mean that my passion.
I think that's a fair statement. All right, because if the female was the one who invited me out, why do I need to be the one paying the bill? And you invite me out. Well, why do I need to be the one who has to pay
my
the bill?
passion. I agree with my passion. Yes.
Well, but look at it though. Isn't it culture though, Pastor Kelly? And our listeners, you can come in. You can just put your comments in, and we're going to read them. But isn't it a bit cultured that we grew up understanding that when we're dating, bills are a man's responsibility. So if we go out to a nice restaurant, then the man has to be the one to pay the bill. What if the woman has more money than the man? Is there a problem for her to pay the bill if we go out, even if I invite her out?
But remember that there are women who has had encounter with other male who has always wanting, not giving. So if she's having it and she's right there, seated with you, she's expecting. There's women today expecting the man to do that, play that role.
Yeah. I have a friend, Pastor Kelly. Good friend of mine was met this girl and they decided to go out. And that guy deliberately did, and I'm gonna tell you what I did one time when I was in high school too. My wife, oh Lord. I'm gonna tell you what
Go
I
ahead.
did. My friend deliberately took a card that he knew had no money on it. And when he
Wow.
gave the waitress, the card, it came back declined because he had no money. And so he started to tell the young lady that, it seemed as if he leave him wallet and all of that. And the young lady had to pay. And let me tell you something, and some big lobster and them, something that the young lady ordered. So if you see,
Mhm.
she had a bill, sir. And she ended up
Yes.
having to pay the bill. No, do you think that was right for the guy to do? Isn't that some form of deception?
Yes. 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 But that, I must say, when I met my wife and she came to Jamaica, I had my last. She even didn't know this, and I didn't go out of the way to get it. But I'm the one who's going to take her out, and it was her birthday. It was her birthday, and she came on her for her birthday to look for me. Plus, I think it was the first time I'm seeing her as well. And I want to tell you, I saved my last. She don't know I saved my last, and we have children. I have children. You understand? But they will be all right because they are here. They have auntie to take care of them. They have, you understand, uncle and all that. But I'm saying to you, just because I am so happy for what I'm about to get myself in, because this is something that I desire. I saved my last and ask you if we didn't have a great time going out together, and go in my bill phone and I feel good as a man, taking out the money and paying the bill. I'm telling you, feel good.
So you never feel sorry after you take out the money and pay the bill, right?
No, doc, because it come from
But
your son, come
let me
from the
ask you
heart.
something, Pastor Kelly. You were in Jamaica at the time, and she
Rough
was
and it rough.
coming from America. She was coming from
Yeah,
America. My brother,
yes.
I've had some man and she pay the bill because she had the foreigner. A foreigner
Rough.
walk with money, sir.
And you know how good I felt when I heard her said to me after a couple weeks or months, she have never had that before. She's living in America and she never get that treatment.
Yes, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
And that moved
That
me.
was,
That moved
yeah.
me. That really moved me.
Well, me and you different, Pastor Kelly, because to be honest with you, you see, Minister Kimika said he took me on to a nice expensive restaurant.
It was.
Ah!
It was. I'm
Oh,
telling you,
yeah.
up into the New Kingston here. I mean, we won't go to the North Course, but we went to a place. I mean, I tell you, it just built. That place was just
Oh.
made. They built it and put it in place. And man, I find that place, man. I say, well, you guys sit with me and we're gonna have a good time.
But Pastor Kelly, me kind of feel like because you don't look at a wife at the time while you do all of that, Because if both of you go out now, if both of you should go out now, all right, she invites you. Let's say, Minister, she's now your wife, and she invites
Yes.
you out. And she invites you out. Who do you think should
Yeah.
pay the bill?
I would pay the bill too. She will pay the bill. She want to do the same thing, but I would pay the bill too.
Yo, Lord.
I'm
Well,
I'm
I'll
telling you
tell you
that.
something, Pastor Kelly. When I was going to high school, when I was in high school, my wife had a friend, a good friend, a girlfriend. She had a good, friend. And
Yeah.
we were waiting on the bus. No, Pastor Kelly, when me go to school, me can't even find bus fare for pay go on my
Yeah.
yard because every day me have a boom drive, right? And I was at the bus
Yes.
stop. Before we got to the bus stop, the bus stop was in front of a supermarket. And you know them days, eggnog are expensive drinks, expensive. We are drink back juice. We hold
Yeah.
a Nutrimon and a back juice and we make ourselves happy, right? Eggnog are
Yes.
expensive drinks. So we
Yes.
were there now waiting for the bus and stand up over the supermarket. And so my wife friend came and said she wanted something. If I should buy her something. Mark, me not have nothing bus fare for pay on my yard, Me not have bus fare. All right. So I
Yes.
said to her, listen, go in the supermarket and take up anything you want and come to the front. I'll pay for it. All right. So she went and she took up bun and cheese. You know them time, then them cut the bun, them thing. So the man them take the bun and cut it and put in the cheese and she take up eggnog. No back juice in the fridge, you know, sir. Back juice was in the fridge. And she take up eggnog. So she came to the cashier looking for me. You know, when she look across the street at the bus, me I go in the door. Yeah, man, the bus come on, me I go in the bus, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I one foot she still left to go up in at the bus. And when we go in at the bus, I Mr. Shall look over the bus, Mr. Driver, drive.
I can imagine question and laugh. I say, yeah, man, that's right. I can imagine QB laughing now, saying, yeah, man, that's right.
I couldn't afford bun and cheese and eggnog. I can't afford it. I can't. I boom drive to go to my yard. You understand? Yeah, man. But I tell you this, until this very day, she have me up for it.
Oh my God, she will let go. I hope one day she will. Yeah, man, it was good.
Oh my God. Yeah. What happened there, Mr. Producer? I'm hearing myself back. What happened? All right. All right. Let me know if you're still hearing me, Pastor Kelly. You're still hearing me, okay? All right.
Good.
Nice. Very good. What a welcome, Nordia and Ball White. Welcome. Nordia said her chest was too high.
Too high for you, man. That's right.
All right. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
She have me up to this day. Up to this day, she have me up for it. She never forget. You know, when you're growing up, sometimes we do some. Why me? I tell you, Pastor Kelly. We're gonna be having a guest on our program next week. She's a good friend of mine. I'm hearing the feedback, Mr. Producer. She's a good friend of mine. And she had me up from school days. She's now a doctor as well. She's also a clinical psychologist. And you know the other day, me know, so she had me up. Are you hearing
Just
me,
the
Pastor
other
Kelly?
day.
Yeah, I was
Loud and
getting a
clear.
feedback. I wasn't sure you were hearing me. Yeah, man, it's just the other day. I know when I call her to invite her on the program, and we talk and everything. And
Yeah.
after we were through talking, she said to me, "Say, Doc, me have you up, you know?" I said, "For what?" She said, "Yeah, me have you up." I said, "What me do?" She said, "You remember when me in the 9th grade?"
Long time that you know that. A whole heap of years that.
She said, I make her rent car and come a concert and the grill and can't come in.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Yes, sir.
You never
Oh
remember
my.
nothing about that, you know, Pastor Kelly.
That God. That God.
Let me
But she
tell her,
not
me
going to
say you
forget
have,
that.
me say you have to go forgive me. She said it did it upon my chest. All that time in the
Yes.
upon my chest, just get to take care of my
Yes.
chest.
Yes. She not going to
We had
forget
a
that. She
good
not
laugh.
going to forget that. Mm.
Oh Lord. We had a good laugh, though. We had a good laugh. We said
She
she
laugh
rent
as well,
car.
right?
Yeah, man, she
She
did.
laugh
Yeah,
as
man,
well,
she
right?
Oh yeah. She said me make she rent car and pay how
Yeah,
much
man.
money in a car.
Yes.
Come on the grill
Yes.
and she can't come in. Oh my God. Me didn't even know
Oh
that,
my
sir.
God. That's set up.
I
That's set
remember
up.
the event. I remember the event, but I didn't even know she was at the event or she came to the event. I didn't know that, but I tell you, sometimes people have your past that will let me know. You know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. But I see where Kevin, brother Richard, he said that is it Richard? Wait, said he would pay if it's the last him have, he would have paid the bill as well.
well,
He would pay
I'm
the
not
bill as
seeing some
well.
of the comments. I'm going to wait on the producer to put up some of them for me so I can
Yeah.
at least acknowledge and, make reference. Pauline
Mhm.
Honeygun, How you doing? She said this one makes me laugh hard. Too
Mhm,
hard.
mhm.
Okay. Welcome, welcome. That's my friend right there, Pauline Honeygun. We call her Honey. Yes, man. How you doing? All right. Me not
Yes,
giving them a
yes.
joke yet, Pastor Kelly. Let and the rest of you. I can have a whole bunch joking up. Hey, you know, so them say me used to get enough trouble when me
I believe so, that. Honestly, I believe they give a lot of trouble in school. Yes, man.
Thank God for saving grace. Oh my
Yes,
God.
indeed. Yes,
God
indeed.
really good, you know?
Huh?
God really good.
In good, man. That's why you have to save way. Yeah. The normal. We the normal people. We. You can't stay there. Jesse me look so. This a boy, yeah.
Richard White said, believe me, Dr. KJ, all when me broke like bottle, I will be paying that bill. Richard is, but I understand why Richard will be saying that because Richard White, I feel like Richard White sitting right beside him there, So I can't say nothing more than that. Yeah. But look what I put on this spot now, Pastor Kelly, before we go to the topic. I'm just chit-chatting,
Who
hoping
is
that
that?
Dr. Dunbar gets to come on so we can get into should women complain about lack of sex in the marriage. Pastor
Mhm.
Kelly, would you? And I need your honest answer. I'm going to make it very personal. And listeners,
Mhm.
this also goes for you. Please comment, type in. Let us read what you say. No, Pastor Kelly, would you give Minister Kimika one of the hardest punch in our face for $1 billion?
No. No, that.
I feel like Minister Kimika downstairs and buckler wait there,
May I tell you the truth? No. No.
You're not
And I like
punching her in
say
her face for $1 billion.
for a million, unless she
For $1
agree
billion,
and say
for
do
$1
it.
billion. Huh?
If she agree and say, honey, do it. We need it. If she agree and my wife say, Pastor Kelly, we know you don't want to do it, but do it. We need it.
Minister
But
Kimika said, what? My passion says, 1 billion. Yes. 2 times.
I like it. I love it.
So, well, Minister Kimika is asking you if you want her to punch you for $1 billion. She's asking that question. But
Come
listen,
up, Kemika. Come right in front of me and ask me.
Well, I know. I mentioned it to my wife earlier. And I said to her, honey, would you punch me in my face as hard as for $1 billion? So she said no. She wouldn't do it. So I said, remember, I never said me I gonna do it, I mean now I'm gonna do it, Me just said,
Yes.
but think about it this way, honey. Even if you get a broken jawbone, me can't fix it. I would be able to
Yes.
fix it. Oh my God. And let me tell you something. I did hell of powder house. Yeah. But Richard White said, Richard White comment.
Just run straight away.
Richard said, one straight right. Because I know the woman them that ask the question. Oh God. Oh God.
Mhm.
Oh, don't make me cry.
Well, for Minister Kemika to punch me in my face, I know it wouldn't do much great damage. I'm looking at it. You understand?
What are you implying?
I'm saying that as a woman, she has a woman hand. Enough women have woman hand, but they are powerful. Not to say that Kemika is not powerful, but if she agreed to punch me, and I agree for that $1 million, how we say, man? I say, all right, we need it. And I want it. We need it.
Okay, Dr. Carla Dunbar has been on for 40 minutes. Doc, we were just waiting for you. Mr. Producer, are you seeing Dr. Dunbar? We were just here having some fun until but she said she's been on for 40 minutes. My producer. Welcome, Dr. Dunbar. Welcome. I see your comment, Dr. Dunbar. Right. So until our producer finds Dr. Dunbar and put her on the screen, Pastor Kelly. Um, yeah. So you are saying that you just would not punch your wife for $1 billion. I want you to be honest, man. $1 billion
No,
you're talking about, Pastor Kelly.
no, doc. No, doc.
Listeners, would you
Suppose,
let me hear
suppose
what
don't
Minister?
give her
Let
the
me hear what
whole,
Minister.
my,
Let me hear what, put up Minister Kimika's comment, Mr. Producer. Let me hear what Minister Kimika said. No, you husband also said I would receive 2 back for my 1. So Mr. Husband would receive 2 back for his 1. Now look at what Minister Kimika. I would ask God for money. No physical abuse of money. It would be a funeral service after. Lord have mercy, Pastor Kelly. No bother, Pastor Kelly. No bother change your mind, sir. Bother change your mind because we don't want I forgot to attend no funeral, sir. No bother change your mind, sir. Minister Kimmy, I'm a former soldier. And a cousin test me and regret it. All right. I'm seeing Dr. Shane Tull is also on. Welcome, Dr. Tull. All right, we're getting that fixed for you listeners. We were just chit-chatting, listeners, because we're going to get into the meat of the matter with our 2 doctors and also Pastor Kelly. All right, so we're going to be having Dr. Carla Dunbar and we're going to be having Dr. Shane Tull with us tonight. And Pastor Kelly is already on set. All right, so we're waiting for, I'm sure my producer is talking to them in the background. They're now getting everything fixed. All right. So if you're just joining us, welcome wherever you're joining us from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are very, very happy to have you joining with us tonight. So Pastor Kelly said he wouldn't, give his wife a good thump in the face for $1 billion. What says our listeners? Would you do that to your spouse for $1 billion? Would you? All right. Let us know. Let us know. Pastor Kelly, should women complain about lack of sex in the marriage? Let's get into that and the doctors will join us. Should women complain about lack of sex in the marriage?
To whom? The question is to whom? No,
to you. It's your wife complaining to you or complaining to the pastor or complaining to somebody?
Should be free to come to me. My wife should be free to come to me, talk to me, and we work it out together. It is what made the relationship strong as well. And it's just like as though we can talk about other stuff. I believe that we should be able to talk about stuff like that and deal with it together. So I believe so.
Okay. Welcome, Dr. Tull. Welcome, Dr. Tull. Are you hearing us?
Good night, everyone.
Blessings on you, Dr. Tull. Dr. Tull, I see you've been very busy. You've been very busy over the past few weeks. And I must tell you, I've been following you, sir, and you have been doing a marvelous job sensitizing the entire world on mental health and this pandemic. I've listened to, I was listening recently to your conversation with the judge. Where you had that conversation with the judge. Yes, that was quite powerful. That was quite a powerful interview. Just wanted to know you're doing a fantastic job. And to our listeners, yes, sir, Dr. Tull has a book out on Amazon, and we're going to ask you to support. Tell us the name of the book again, Dr. Tull, and how they can get one.
The Mental Health Pandemic. It's on Amazon.
Yes. How much for a copy, sir?
$15.
$15. It's powerful. I have a few copies. I bought copies for friends, and yes, it's powerful. My wife has been reading it, and it's really an eye opener to her as well. So we thank you for that, sir. Dr. Tull, should women complain about lack of sex in the marriage? Usually, we know of men complaining. Should women complain about lack of sex, and what should be done?
Well, I think it should be a joint open conversation between the couple about if your needs are not being met, the only person you can really talk to is your partner. And I really think it's also an opportunity for the couple to get closer and to get some clarity about what are the expectations in the marriage. And if your needs are not being met, how can we collectively come together and work on that issue? And I think on the other side, they come out better, stronger, and to be able to communicate, it's an asset.
It is a bit stereotype, Dr. Tull. You
Mhm.
know, where a lot of people feels that after you get married, so the wedding is over, the
Mhm.
marriage now begins.
Correct.
A lot of people feels that after you get married, then the sex is going to become less, and that should be acceptable. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think if you're married, the sex should become better. Because I don't think it's just about the sex. It's about the intimacy, about partnership, about sharing, about equity in the relationship. So I think after the wedding day, that's where the work starts. But that's also where growth happens for both of them.
Okay, okay. I'm seeing Bishop Evelina sending me a message. I'm not sure if he's trying to get into the conversation. But we'll see where we go from there. We have Dr. Carla Dunbar is on, and she's on audio. Dr. Dunbar, welcome.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Kevin. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Doc. I trust you had a very successful event on the weekend.
Yes, it was. Yes, thank you very much to the supporters. It was really successful, and we were able to meet our objectives.
Beautiful, beautiful. Dr. Dunbar, let's jump straight into it. I was reading in your book, Dr. Dunbar. We're talking about should women complain about lack of sex in their
Mhm.
marriage? And I was reading in chapter 4 of Dr. Dunbar's book. And everybody, if you have not gotten your copies yet, please go and get a copy. It's called Sex Scription, written by Dr. Carla Dunbar. In chapter
Mhm.
4, Dr. Dunbar, you said,
Mhm.
ladies, when it comes to sex, there are certain things you can never be prepared for. What were you referring to, Doc?
I think I was talking about never being fully prepared for because of, I believe that we ought to be able to give each other epiphanies throughout the life of our marriage, and so there ought to be times when you can take your spouse by surprise, or your spouse will also take you by surprise. So it doesn't become monotonous.
Okay. You also says that the first time a man unpacks his goods and you see something you really weren't prepared for down there. And then you said, are his balls the size of a grapefruit, or his penis just really, really small? You were begin to ask some questions there. There, you said now every penis is unique, but some are more unique
Mhm.
than others. It's more important, no matter what he's fucking, to keep a poker face and not reveal your thoughts. What did you mean by that? You were talking to the ladies there. What did you mean by that?
As you would have seen, I take the ladies to the school of the penises, right? To help them to understand that every man is unique and different, and therefore his hardware is going to be unique and different. And so, just because you have been, you probably are exposed to and accustomed to one, it doesn't mean that that's a sum total of everything. So, open your minds to understand that there are differences in shapes and sizes and lengths and feel and all of that. And so, don't close your mind and understand too that it's not necessarily the size of the gun. It's not it's the effect, how it is that a man can handle and utilize what he carries.
So, Dr. Dunbar, on that note, if a woman
Mhm.
begins to complain in the marriage that she's not getting enough sex, the man might be
Mhm.
packing, he might not be packing. whatever the case might be, and she begins to complain. I'm hoping my producer has a clip ready because we're going to be playing a clip in a little bit. Um, the woman begins to complain. How do we mitigate? How do we deal with an issue like that? Okay, so we're the counselors, we're the pastors, and a woman come and she's complaining, my husband is not giving me enough sex. I'm not having enough sex in the bedroom. What do we do there? How do we approach that?
I think we should first understand whether it is penetrative sex, because maybe it's not just penetrative sex that she's complaining about. It's the whole matter of the intercourse, and she's not being pleasured as she would like to be pleasured. So you see, because we have to understand that sex is not always penis dependent for a woman.
What are some of the other
So
ways that
so if
women
it
see sex? Huh?
there are so many other ways. But what the first thing we need to understand, no, of course, we have oral and different ways, but one of the things I'm saying is that we need to understand that it is not always just penis dependent. A woman is very internal, and most of the time, it's not the penetrating sex that gives her pleasure. It is what is done before. In my book, you would say I'm talking about foreplay, core play, more play. It's about
Yeah.
engaging the female, understanding that engaging the female before penetration, understanding that she can have multiple orgasmic experiences before penetration, and that is what is oftentimes more desirable for a woman.
Dr. Tull, in your experience as a clinical psychotherapist, do you share the same view as Dr. Dunbar? That a lot of what goes on in sex goes on before penetration, because you see, we're trying to educate our listeners.
For the woman, for the woman,
For
a
the
lot
woman.
of it is, but that is not to also mitigate from the fact that men also enjoy foreplay. It's just that they have this goal in mind.
Yes, Dr. Tull, your take on that?
I mean, I think that foreplay is imperative. It's important. I think it's how the two people connect, what kind of communication styles they have, and how do they send love messages? Like, do you want to do it tonight, and how do you communicate that to your partner? And I also think it's really about having really open conversations about sex, because I think we come from a culture, we don't talk about sex, we do it, and when doing it without talking about it, sometimes you get it wrong. So I think it's important that you have these open conversations, like, what do you like, what do you enjoy, what are your sensitive spots and areas, and if you're able to have those open conversations, it makes the experience even better.
You talk about what are your sensitive spots, Dr. Tull. Do you believe that some women may be afraid to talk about their bodies? So a man should be able to see what his wife really likes when he touches, where she
Mhm,
how she responds.
mhm.
Do you think that these are some of the things that men ought to look out for, especially with wives who really don't like talking about their bodies?
But I believe, you see, once again, we go back to culture and the people, and we're a people that don't talk about sex. So young women are shamed about when they talk about sex, and I think if we empower them to explore their bodies and be confident in their bodies and be able to have these conversations, then they're able to bring that into adulthood. And also, young men, we need to let them understand not just the biology of their body, but the emotional impact that comes with that, and that comes through communication.
Pastor Kelly, having listened to Dr. Tull and Dr. Dunbar with what they just stated a while ago, I think that sort of offers some amount of hope for some men, understanding
Yes.
that women don't just rely on penetration, but they rely
Mhm.
on what comes before penetration. What was your take on that?
I knowing that the well, not all women operates in the same way, I believe, but for her being the more tender, the more softer nature, by created by God. I believe for her, what would keep carry her in the mood, put her in that mood that will cause her to reach a place where you want to be with her in the relationship in a sexual way.
Oh,
Before that, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, I believe you should be able
David?
to meet her at that level where it enhance that mood. I mean, for that encounter within each other space into the bedroom right there in sex.
Yes. Dr. Dunbar, there are a lot of women who are probably suffering in silence. A married women we're talking about now. A lot of married women who are suffering in silence. I've had to counsel with a few of them before in the past who would complain that, their husband is 1 minute man and you name it and you name it. Um, for a situation like this, Dr. Dunbar, highlight our men as a woman some of what they can do before they actually get into the act.
The first thing to do, as Dr. Toll said, is to have open and effective communication. Because when we can be open, in our conversations to each other, it really makes a world of a difference. And then the understanding of the differences in the sexes, the men are different from women. God intentionally ensured that we are different, right? And so when we have that understanding, we understand that men are visually aroused most of the time. They are aroused by what they see and what they touch. Women, on the other hand, we communicate sex with our mind and we have sex with our minds, our emotions. And so it is our minds that you stimulate first. You engage us. You can't begin initiating sex 10:25 for it to come to pass at 10:30. Not for a woman. What happens for a woman is begins from this morning. It begins with how you start treating her, how you speak to her, how you are with her, that kind of a thing. So it's not only the physical act that is important for a woman, and that's not where she starts. That's not the genesis for a female. So
Dr.
you need to
Dr. Dunbar,
understand her. You need to understand her needs.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
happy you're making these points because a lot of problems, Dr. Tull, that goes on in the relationship. These are the things that are lacking. Some of our
Yeah.
men, they are not aware of these things, and that's why we are
Yeah.
not afraid to engage the public, because we're
True.
all about families. We're about families, and we want
Yeah.
people not only to have a spiritual healthy lives, but we also want them to have sexual healthy lives in their relationship.
Mhm.
And everybody is talking about spirituality on YouTube and Facebook and all over the radio. Everybody is a Christian, everybody's a prophet, everybody's an evangelist, and you name it. But after they would
True.
have done preaching gospel, they're going home to husbands and
Yes.
wives who are complaining.
Yes.
They are
True.
complaining that our needs here are not being met. And so we chose to take on topics like these.
Right.
Now, Dr. Tull, I know you would agree with what Dr. Dunbar just says. The difference between a man and a woman. Now, she just highlighted, from a woman's standpoint. Can you highlight it from a man's standpoint? What should we really do, sir, as a man before we actually get into that?
Well, I think we need to be more in tune to our wives in terms of what their needs are. But I also believe that, remember, we're socialized in a different way, especially if you're Caribbean. You're socialized that you just get it, you get in there, you do your job, and that's it. And which I really think it's bad information that we translate this to younger men as well. We're not telling younger men that, well, maybe you should be start by giving your girlfriend a foot massage or a back rub, or maybe you can run a hot bath for her. Little things
Yeah.
that builds up to that experience. So it's really we have to re-educate men about sex, because I believe that women intuitively knows what to do. Men, we have to relearn how to do.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with men, a panelist, a lot of men really sex is as not as a woman's, where it begins in the mind.
Mhm.
Sex is I see this female and I
Want
want to, we just want a piece of her.
yeah,
I don't know if you ever hear men talk like
Lord.
that before.
Yeah,
All they
yeah,
want is
yeah,
just a piece of her.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
the woman, on the other hand, doesn't want a piece of him. That's not what she wants. What she wants is intimacy.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Dunbar, can you share with our listeners what intimacy really is?
I think I last coined it as intimacy, right? So a woman wants connectivity. She wants to be understood on the most deepest emotional level. She wants the man to know her inside out, understanding her emotion, what hurts her, what affects her, And so it is that when Moses spoke in Deuteronomy 24:5, he said, when a man has taken a new wife, he's to take at least 1 year off from maybe active responsibility. And back in that day, when the context of that text is that men used to be merchants and warriors. And Moses is saying, take a year off from every active responsibility and stay home. And the KJV said, the King James Version says to cheer your wife. That means to know intimately, not sexually, intimately, to get a deeper and more profound knowing. Because when the Bible says, when the KJV says, and Adam knew her, he's talking about knowing her in a deeper way, understanding her, right? And that is why First Peter 3, verses 7, Peter instructed husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, being paraphrased, in an understanding way according to your knowledge of her. Treat her like the weaker vessel, not physically weaker, emotionally softer, more fragile. The idea there is porcelain, like something that is breakable and soft. And so it is important that men understand that women are considered to be more softer emotionally, more vulnerable. It is not that men do not have emotions, they do. Culture also plays an important part in this. But understand that we are created. I heard the other conversation earlier about the whole who's supposed to provide the money for the date, etc. Women are created as receivers, men are created as givers. It's important to understand that a king cannot be a queen and a queen cannot be a king, right? But culture has changed things and we are living in changing times. And so we adjust and adapt to the different
Yes.
needs, right? That is in our society. But it's important to understand that we are created this way. If Adam, when he woke up from what I consider to be the anesthesia that God has placed him under in order to form Eve or fashion Eve, because he didn't create Eve, he fashioned Eve. To fashion Eve from him. If when he woke up from the anesthesia, he saw somebody looking like himself, 17 shoulder, biceps, and triceps, I believe he would fall back asleep. He woke up to somebody more feline, more beautiful, more,
Yes.
looking like him, but so different from him that she was now attracted to her. And so we need to understand that we are created with the distinct difference, masculine, feminine difference, so that we are a complement to each other. Our responsibility is to seek to know. Knowledge is important, to seek to know what is intrinsically important as an emotional or motivational need of the other so that we can meet that need. I need to know that my husband is visually aroused. So when he looks at me, that's why he can't keep his hands off me. I need to know that if he touched me, he might be just ready for me. He needs to
Amen.
know that I'm not necessarily, not that I'm not attracted to his appearance, but I am turned on. I'm aroused by how he treats with me, how he thinks about my family, how he displays his responsibility as a husband who will provide and protect us, and guide us. So those are the things that arouses us more so. A woman can be stopped anywhere in a sex act by a child crying or some part of discomfort. A man is like a train that can't stop. When they're about to ejaculate, there's no stopping them. You understand? But we can stop anywhere in between the sex act, and then we have to start all over again.
And let me tell you that what you just gave a mouthful of powerful
Yeah.
information, and I just think the information that is coming out this evening is just so rich. It is deep. From yourself, Dr. Tull, Pastor Kelly, it is so rich and deep. Um, you made a very valid point there, Doc, when you said a woman can stop anywhere in the act. It is kind of different for a man. I'm going to ask Dr. Tull to elaborate on that. It is a bit different. We're trying to distinguish the difference between the male and the female, and why women should really complain due to lack of sex, and what men can do to mitigate that. Dr. Tull, that's a big difference between a man and a woman. A woman can stop in the middle of sex and feel no way.
Right.
It's just the same way. Even notice a
Right.
lot of men
I'm
sometimes
pretty.
they do have orgasms before the woman, and the woman would just say, okay, whatever. But if the man doesn't have an orgasm, what happens?
There's trouble. I think that our biologies are different. We just when we start, we can't stop. It's just the way we're built. But I do think if we do our homework and we put in all the preamble and the foreplay and all that stuff, the end game will always be not just good; it will be beneficial, and you'll always have opportunities to have more experiences.
Dr. Dunbar, do you think, or in your practice over the years, have you ever come across a woman who does not require foreplay or does not like foreplay, don't want foreplay? And if so, what should the man do to prepare that woman in that case?
I have, if I find, I cannot say that I have never, but I have seen women who do not know that that they cannot want it. They don't know that they can have orgasms or climaxes because they have never been allowed to have that. In Jamaica, especially, Jamaica still contains many features of the plantation society where men are studs and women are breeders. So there are many women who have never been allowed, to enjoy sex. They're like they're like just the receptors. They're the receptacles. They just receive them. They pleasure the men, but they don't know that they themselves can be pleasured. So I have seen that. But when I see that as a therapist, I know something is wrong. I know that something is wrong with the woman, and so oftentimes I will, carry out my psychoanalysis to find out what exactly went wrong in probably the formative years or somewhere in between
Mhm.
in some relationship. There would have been an experience or some experiences that would have mitigated against that female understanding that she can fully enjoy the experience and not just endure the experience. A lot of women endure the experience because they have no knowledge that they can enjoy the experience. A lot of our men are not taught. Culture has taught many men, right? Music and all of these other things where they get information from. I have found in the last probably 20 years or so that I have had to be detoxing a lot of our men of the information that they receive formatively about how to pleasure a woman sexually, about what sexual intercourse really ought to mean in a relationship. In a not just a committed relationship. It's supposed to be in a committed relationship because sex ought to flow out of love, and that comes out of a lot of time spent in a committing, right? And so I found that I've had to be feeding information to both women and men. I've had to be feeding information to women for them to understand that you are supposed to enjoy the experience, right? And for men to know that women must be pleased. There are 4 stages to sex according to the Johnson & Johnson model. And a lot of the times, the men have covered all 4 stages, and the women have not even reached the first stage of arousal. So, it's really teaching that has to take place, and that is what is lacking. The word of the Lord says, my people suffer because of lack of knowledge.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. In my own practice, Doctor Dunbar, Doctor Toll, and Pastor Kelly, I have come across women who told me that they don't know what orgasm is because they were taught that their job is to pleasure the man. And so they
Mm-hmm.
focus on pleasuring the man. I don't know if you ever hear it, Dr. Tull, where women would say, oh, the man just want me to lie down. Okay, just lie down, man, and open your legs. I'll enjoy myself. And even though she's tired and all of that. And so some women were taught that their sole responsibility is just to pleasure the man, whether or not they have an orgasm. And so once a man do ejaculates and get her pregnant, she's supposed to bring the child into this world, and that's her duty. No, that's a misconception. That is so wrong. Do you see that?
And Dr. Kevin,
Yes,
Dr.
yes, ma'am.
Kevin, and that
Yeah,
makes sex in a committed union or even a marriage a spectator sport, and it's not a
yes,
spectator sport.
It's a
yes,
team
And
sport.
real men, a spectator, right? And real men real men are not aroused by passive sex. I call it vanilla sex in my book, and vanilla is a nice figure, by the way, so that's not to say. I'm just saying, right? Real men are not aroused by passive sex. Real men want to know that they are able to bring the woman to many climaxes, multiple climaxes. That is where they get their greatest pleasure. Remember, man's sexuality is important to a man, and so a man being able to take a woman to the edge and over the edge and give her multiple climaxes. That is what makes the man feeds the man ego and allow him to feel that he has done something great in his sexual prowess and his sexual performance.
And I tell you this too, Doc. A lot of men feels that if the woman no ball and scream and holler, say hot and blood her up and you name it, them not feel like them that do anything, and they feel like this is
That's
sex.
our Caribbean something.
Yeah,
That's a Caribbean. That's why they say Caribbean men are so aggressive, and it's not that they are bad aggressive, It's just that they consider our men typically a little bit, aggressive, and so the culture, the music, the dancehall culture has spread into our men that they must slam bam thank you madam, that they must allow hurt a woman in order to bring pleasure. And then a lot of women have become accustomed to it, and so they are facilitating it, as you say. They don't understand that they're supposed to enjoy the experience and not just be a facilitator in the experience.
I'm going to read a comment, Dr. Tull, and I'm going to ask you to respond after. A listener is saying, I used to be with a woman who told me point blank she doesn't want me to play with her vagina during foreplay because of past experiences. And that was a turn
Right.
off for me, even though I really liked her. Dr. Tull.
I think if someone shares that with you, that should be a red flag in terms of what was that past experience and how he can support her in getting the supportive therapy treatment that she would need to get past that experience. Because a lot of women come into adulthood with a lot of childhood trauma that we may not
Right.
know about. So even that is about even that in its communication form helps helps the couple to get closer, because if she's able to share with him what was the trauma that turned her off of that, which is such an important activity, they should be able to work through that experience and come through much stronger on the other side.
Dr. Dunbar, what do you have to add to that? The woman doesn't want the man to play with her vagina at all during foreplay, and so that was a turn off for him.
That is as clear as Dr. Toll said it. That woman would have suffered childhood sexual trauma. A lot of children, probably 8 out of 10, they are fondled, they are sexually abused, and because that experience has left them with a lot of guilt and shame coming out of that experience, so they enter into adulthood, and though they understand that they are to be facilitators of sex, they enter into relationship not for the sex because they have no pleasure in the sexual experience. They enter because women, we seek intimacy, we seek a sense of belonging. And so they enter into it, but then the end result is that they receive sex. because that is what the men want. And when there's not this effective, it's not that communication doesn't take place. When the communication is not effective for a person to understand that I've suffered something in the past, or some women are so ashamed about
Yeah,
it, they have never entered
true,
into therapy. One of my
true.
programs that I have developed is called the Conquerors. It's a sexual healing program, healing women who have, or healing persons, but precisely predominantly women who have suffered some form of sexual trauma, and they're having, suffering the PTSD from that. And so I have had to take them through that healing process, getting rid of the guilt and shame, understanding the powerlessness, understanding, who they are, and their regaining their self-identity, and then learning how to forgive self and the perpetrator and all of those other things. So when that is shared, that, like Dr. Tool says, ought to be a red flag to a man who's supposed to be understanding that something took place in the formative
Yeah.
years of that woman's life, their partner's life, that requires intervention. And they should not be understanding enough to help them to get that intervention.
Pastor Kelly, as a pastor, somebody comes to you with the same statement. How do you approach that? A woman don't want him to play with her vagina at all during the act, and it turns him off. Do you see that relationship as a problem from a spiritual point of view?
I would see it as something that needs to be dealt with, and we know in a relationship, like in marriage, being a husband or a wife, in that area, they both need to come together and talk about it. Now, for example, I can use just a brief stuff concerning my relationship, my wife and I. I'm not going to be open, but I mean, I can be more clear in a sense where she shares stuff with me about her past. She have shared stuff with me about her past, and in the getting into the marriage, being in the marriage now, to live that life, live that marital way of living in the marriage. And I see the signs and stuff like that, and she would say things to me, and I would understand. It's not easy, though, as a man. I can tell you that. She's listening. It's not easy, but I worked with her, and it's only the grace of the Lord and my decision, because I love her. I must say to you, because if she did not tell it to me, some of the stuff then, because she has been abused not one time, not two time, not three time, and as beautiful she is, amen. I see it as that respect that I have given as a gift to her, because she could have hide those things from me. Now, if someone would come to me and share these things to me, I, I would have compassion in that relationship concerning that
Mhm.
person, to say to you, let the both of you talk about it. And if there's any way you can seek help, help is available. And like just tonight, as we are talking, help is here right now as we speak, Doc.
Mhm.
Yes. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're talking about, should women complain about lack of sex in the marital bedroom? That's where we are talking about it from. Earlier on, Dr. Dunbar alluded, and Dr. Tull, to some things that can be done. A lot of men, Dr. Tull, are not aware that even if you are planning to have sex tonight with your wife, from in the morning, you can begin to call her, begin to say sexy things to her.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of our men today, we are so holy that we don't even tell our wives the word vagina, much more to tell them the other word, because we are so holy, and it's a sin to even mention about the vagina and tell her, listen, this is what I'm going to do later on. And you get the woman all excited on the phone, right? You probably bring a rose home for her. You probably bring chocolate if she likes chocolate. You buy a chocolate and you take it home for her. Who knows? She works somewhere. You probably have it delivered to her
Mhm.
on her desk, her secret admirer. Get her thinking, get her ready for later. A lot of our men don't do these things, sir. Now, how can we get our men to begin to understand that these things are very important in a relationship?
By inviting them to this platform, I think the the message we provide here, the information we provide here, is illuminating to young men, especially because like after the show, a lot of young married couples would reach out and say, the things you guys are talking about, the church doesn't talk about these things. And we're young and we're horny and we have these feelings and we want to just have a good time. But what does having a good time as a Christian couple means? Are you
Yeah,
allowed to do all that stuff? So I really believe, though the information that we're presenting here is valid, it's lucid, it's fluid, but it's also foundational because we are reteaching our young men and women how to relate to each other in a healthy sexual way, and that informs religion. There's nothing in the Bible that says that you shouldn't have good sex, like great sex. Like
oh
Yeah,
you want to, I tell
yeah,
young people, sex is really, really good if
oh
it's
yeah,
done
yes,
properly, with
oh yeah,
respect,
oh yeah,
with mutual
that's
understanding.
true.
Those
oh
are the
yeah.
That's
things. But
true.
we have to have these conversations with young men and how to treat young women, how to talk to them, the respect that they deserve. And when we're able to do that, and we're able to we empower them into manhood, because manhood is more than just jumping and you know what. It's
Yeah.
really, it takes a lot of work. So I think we have our work cut out for us, that we have to keep this platform going, and hopefully the base comes more fluid and we get more people to follow and really have an honest conversation about healthy sex and religion are just two different things. And I don't think God made us not to have a good time. That was his purpose, for us to bring pleasure to each other.
I
Yeah.
don't know if Dr. Dunbar is like me, but I usually think and still do that during the act of sex in the context of marriage, that God just smiles on his children just having a good time. Do you feel
Yes,
that way, Dr.
Yes,
Dunbar?
yes,
I believe the angels are
We should
rejoicing
not.
when that happens.
I don't believe that we should be ashamed to talk about something that God was not ashamed to create. I believe that the church has a responsibility to teach sex education. I think we should do so age appropriately. I think that sexual education, healthy sexuality should be taught, should be included in the Bible study curriculum. I think that the church has a responsibility to not take it for granted that people know, adults know, children, teenagers know the correct place for it. I think in all spheres of our religion as a Christianity, that we should seek to teach it. The Bible is very instructive about it, and so we cannot turn a blind eye to it. When God raised me up 10 years ago in Jamaica, um, with a platform to speak to it, I knew that I came off as controversial, but I understood the times, I understood my purpose, and I can now frankly say I've been in almost every denomination across the island, Seventh Adventist, Catholic, Anglican, and not just nationally, but internationally, because now the church is a little bit more open. They understand the correlation, they understand that Christianity and sex can coexist because it was created, it was intended for that to happen. We are created as sensual, sexual, social human beings, and we are created to relate and to be in relationship. There is a boundary for sexual intercourse, and that is marriage. And so, if we don't teach singles, if we don't teach the teens, if we don't teach the children, if we don't teach the adults, then we're in problems. We are already in problems because of that lack of knowledge that we fail to impart. So I think it is time for us, and like Dr. Toon says, this platform is a good platform. The churches also, ought to have these workshops and seminars that will educate the people that we have oversight for. We can't just teach them about faith and grace and salvation and not teach them about these important things. We can't be so heavenly minded that we are no earthly good. You understand? We can't just teach
Mhm.
the things that are important for what we consider to be their spiritual development, because healthy sexuality is also a part of their spiritual development, because sex is not just a physical act, it's a spiritual act. And so when we teach singles and we teach teenagers to refrain from the activity because it is responsible persons who are supposed to engage sexually, not responsible persons, which is why the government of Jamaica, I cannot agree with them that a 16-year-old has a right to determine what happens with them sexually. A 16-year-old cannot determine who governs a country. They cannot vote. And so why should they be able to determine what happens with them? Which is why I've said before that whilst I'm concerned about all the sexually transmitted diseases, I am more concerned about the sexually transmitted anxiety and depression, the things that are associated with early exposure to sexual intercourse, because it is very damaging and debilitating to some extent to the teenagers, to the children who are exposed before the time. They should be exposed to education about
Yes.
the healthy perspectives, but not to the actual act. And we as a people cannot hand it to them to say that, which is why I never took a position of being a guidance counselor in a school. I will not hand condoms to children. I will not, because if I'm saying to them, you are not supposed to participate in the activity unless you are married. And I'm not talking about age married, because a lot of persons are 18, but they are not mature, right? And it is responsible people who should be married. And a lot of 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30, 40 years are not mature mentally. They are not there. And Dr. Toole can speak to that, right? So I don't believe I should give them condoms and say, they've already started, so let me just help them by protecting them. No, because you are protecting them physically, but what about their mental state? What about their emotional state, right? So I think the church has a responsibility. We have failed significantly, but God has given us grace to be able to restore and to repair what has gone wrong. Because we can, the information is there. It's in the Bible, it's a manual. And we can take the information from there and we can educate the people and we can have better and healthier perspective on the matter of sex and sexuality.
Yes, if you're just joining us, we're looking at should women complain about lack of sex in the marital bedroom? The voice you're hearing is Dr. Carla Dunbar. She's not on camera this evening, and we have Dr. Shane Tull, we have Pastor Andre Kelly Williams, and of course Dr. Kevin Waite. And we're talking about a very interesting topic, a topic that many people shy away from, a topic that many Christian women suffers in the bedroom, but they are afraid to speak because they were either cultured that way or they were made to feel or believe that their duty is to pleasure the man. Pleasure is not for them, and we're trying to get out of that. Mr. Producer, are we ready for the clip? I want to play a clip for us a little bit, and then we have a discussion on it. Can we get that clip, Mr. Producer? Want to say welcome to Sister Pat. Sister Pat, blessing Dr. Waite and your panel. Very informative, as usual, Dr. Dunbar. That's Sister Patricia Levy, Sister Pat. Mr. Producer, can we get that clip?
But it's a rare event where I see the woman talking about the man not giving her enough sex.
I mean, I guess it's a rare occasion, but
it's happened today.
I feel like it's not very rare. I have a normal sex drive, you know. I do like sex, you know. I see nothing wrong with that. I like to have sex with my husband. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He be having to complain all the time, talking about making excuses. I get home from work, working 10-hour days, get home. He's been home playing video games on Facebook. I feel like when I get home, the least he could do is take care of my sexual needs. He is my husband. It's not like he's doing anything else all day. I finally do get home. He can talk about all type of excuses. I got a headache. I'm tired. My stomach hurts. What are you tired from? You have not done anything all day.
Mr. Nelson, are you coming up light on the loving?
That's definitely an exaggeration. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like,
what's the truth?
There's one thing, like, you know how I said I was a regular guy?
Yeah.
Like, and
we already established that that's incorrect.
She says
Go
that
ahead.
she has a regular sex drive. Her sex drive is like, she has like Energizer Bunny syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, keep going and going and going and going.
And going.
Like when she says, when she comes home from work,
Yes.
like, that does not mean like she came home like, oh, after a hard day's work. That means like I took a 15-minute break and I'm coming home so we can have sex. Then on my lunch break, I want you to cook for me, and then we can have sex, and I'll go back to work. And then I'm going to take my last 15-minute break, and then we're going to have some more sex because I just love it that much.
My husband would shoot people to be in your position.
That's what I'm saying. He acts like I'm the one that's wrong.
And half the men I know out there would not only not be complaining, but they'd be going to their boy, do you know what I got going on at my house?
Of course, like that's how it started. That's how it started. You know what I mean? I was like, oh yeah, like all for it, you know, because it was
Right.
cool, like, you know, but like it was like it was on occasion, you know, it was great sex on occasion.
On occasion.
Then
But
occasion.
you don't want occasions to be every day.
Right, I don't want it to be 17,000 times per second. Like I want it to be, like I want it to give me a rest. Like I'm human. Like I'm not Superman. Like so I'm asleep. Of course, I'm asleep. You know, after a night of sex that we probably just had. You know, so she wakes me up, you know, with the hands in the pants. You know, and that's cool. Like fellas, that's cool, right? That's everybody feel like that's cool. But 30, 45 minutes, that's cool, ladies. Is that 30, 45 minutes?
We're not taking a survey, Mr. Nelson.
I'm
Just talk to
I'm
me.
just saying. I'm just saying.
30, 45 minutes might be pushing it.
All right, so after I'm done, you know, get it finished, she's like, oh, babe, let's go take a shower. So I'm like, okay, you know, I do need to, you know, brush my shoulders off a little bit. We go get in the shower, and she wants to do it again. So I'm like, you know what? The second time is the charm. You know, maybe I could put it on her good enough the second time, and she won't want it again. No. So we get out the shower. She like, babe, let's lay the towels down and do it on the towel so we can dry off. I'm like, that's a little much. After that, she wants me to go into the kitchen, cook for her breakfast. I'm talking about pancakes, eggs, bacon, and have sex while I'm doing that.
Courtroom, but
That is abuse. That is abuse. Poor guy.
Dr. Dunbar, how would you handle that
Yes.
situation? How would you handle that situation?
She's probably an nymphomaniac. Dr. Toole said it may be abuse. Some women do have very, very high sex drive.
Right.
Some women are highly sexed as children, as teenagers, and so they develop that hunger and desire for it to fulfill some other need that they have, right? It may not be healthy as well as it could be healthy, right? But I've seen men on the side where this brother is. I've seen men I've had men in my practice who their wives come and complain, you know, and when I married them, because I'm also a married officer, that woman may have been a virgin, but no, she can't get enough because this guy is so tired. He's working. He's trying to retire at 40. He's not able to keep up with her. So I've had the flip side of both coins. But in this situation, I'd have to find out what's going on with her, right? It could be that she's okay, but it could also be that she suffered something, right? And this is a compensation. You know, so she's using sex to compensate
Do you think that's
for
just
something
greed?
else. Or
Do you think she's just greed?
she feels that this is what she needs to do to feel connected, or this is how he needs to prove that he loves her because that's how she was socialized.
Correct. Or at a very young age, she get those messages that you have to be really good at what you do and do it often. That's how you keep. That's how you keep him. But if you notice in the clip, he didn't have a job.
Yeah.
He didn't have an outside job. His job was literally meeting all of her needs. That's abusive.
Right, because he's like a gigolo. He's like a hired help. You know, and a man has an ego. He has a super ego. And he's feeling probably emasculated right there. He's a kept man. You know, if you're a good man, you don't want to be a kept man. The earlier conversations you had was about a man being a provider. A woman is created as
Mhm.
a receiver. A man is a giver. A man is supposed to be a protector and a provider too. That's intrinsic. That's innate, right? So he's
Mhm.
now probably feeling like, boy, he's totally emasculated. Is that all I'm good for?
Wow.
Yeah, as Dr. Tull says, that's a form of abuse. And what makes it abuse? So,
It is.
because I know there are listeners who probably listening and said, "How women, for example, who said, how was that abuse? How was it?" Listen, what he said. He said he would have sex with her, have sex with her again, go into the shower,
Mhm.
have sex with her, come out the
Mhm.
shower, have sex with her. Then he has to go and prepare eggs and bacon and everything and have sex. While doing that, she
And
would leave work
predatory.
on a 15
Mhm.
minute break, have sex, come home for 30 minutes again, have sex, come home for another 15 minutes break, have sex.
It's abusive.
Just want to have sex, 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 sex,
Mash him
sex.
up.
Yes,
I done
that
him.
can be emotional abuse for the man as well as physical abuse, because later on that man might need some form of medical help because he won't
Yes.
be able to keep
Yes.
up. Do you think, Pastor
Yes.
Kelly, that was justification? That matter landed in the divorce court. The man is seeking divorce. Do you think he was right to be seeking a divorce?
Yeah, because where he is right there, it is too much on him. And I believe he wants to please her and he has tried his best, but enough is enough. And that's where he realized they are not on the same page. So what he's gonna do? Save himself. I would save myself. I would save myself if I have to run, I run. Why? It's not because I want to, but if she won't change and she won't meet my requirements as well, because it's not what she need at all times. It's both ways, and there's a control there as well.
Right. Right. So,
Yes.
Pastor, would that be a perfect example of two people that are not equally yoked?
Yeah, yeah. To an extent, to an extent. I believe I have to look it all through, but I believe to an extent.
Dr. Dunbar, do
It
you
is.
think that two people were unequally yoked?
I would say incompatible, but equally yoked has a context. That scripture has a context, and so it wasn't talking about something like this. I just think that this particular person, I believe she's compensating. I think something
Yeah.
is detrimentally and foundationally wrong, and I'm not saying a woman can have a high drive. I'm just saying to this level where it becomes abusive, where a man who is supposed to be sexually proficient feels abused and feels like he can't keep up with her. I think it's so wrong. They are not compatible, and I would have to look at it to be able to say it's
Yes.
unequally yoked.
Agree. Agree.
That was powerful. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. This is where we're going to bring the curtains down for today. Want to say a big thank you to Dr. Carla Dunbar for being with us. Please come back next week, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about issues that the churches are afraid to talk about. We're not afraid to talk about them here. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Shane Tull. As busy as you are, sir, you took some time out for us, and we salute you. We thank you. Keep up the good work. I've been following you. I've been
Thank
watching
you.
everywhere that you're going. In Ghana, all over Guyana, and you're doing a marvelous job. You just came back from Jamaica.
Yes.
I heard your conversation with the judge. It is just marvelous, and you're sensitizing the entire world. Keep up the good job, sir. Pastor
Thank
Kelly,
you.
who is always here, I can call on him anytime. Thank you so much, Pastor Kelly, for putting the spiritual perspective on the conversation this evening. And to my producer, Queston Brown, thank you so much Question. You're doing a marvelous job. We have changed our program that we use, so we do apologize for starting late today, but we came through. All right, next week, we're going to be looking all pretty on your screens. We invite you to come back next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until
Thank
next
you.
week, this has been Relationship Talks. Come back next week for another riveting topic. Thank you so much. God bless you, everybody.
God bless you and thanks, man.
See, one of those days. Weeping may endure until I'm 59, but a minute after that I will be fine. Yo, KJ!
Let me tell you this. Chai morning. Chai coming out the morning. Chai coming out the morning. After one whole night of balling. Chai coming out the morning.
Yes, sir.
Chai coming out the morning. Chai coming out the morning. After one whole night of balling, I could not sleep. I tried to pray, even doing that was rough. Me know me Bible from back to front. Holy Ghost feel like speaking tongues. Yet my back was up against the wall. And Jesus name me call. And him tell me say, Chai coming out the morning. Chai coming out the morning. Chai coming out the morning. After one whole night of balling.
And you will see say, Joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. After one whole night of balling. Watch the struggle's real, dirty tough till it a crack. Water more than flour and no food no in a pot. Watch them say better days are come. It look like it figure. They on me knees a pray so long me left to hole in a the mat. Hungry say pick up the nine. Mama say church 10 o'clock. She say knock and it will open, but we nah not door for knock. She say time of the master. All when you know got no watch, just make we fast and pray until at 12 o'clock. And you will see say joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. After one whole night of balling. Joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. Joy coming at the morning. After one whole night of balling. Can't tell you something.
Mama, don't cry. Please dry your eyes. Daddy, don't cry. God knows you try. Sisters, don't weep. God knows your need. Brothers, hold on to the Most High. Mama, don't cry. Dry up your eyes. Daddy, hold on. God knows you try. You try, you try, you try, you try. Oh, 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 oh. Remember, no me say, Chai coming out of money. Chai coming out of morning. Chai coming out of morning. After one whole night of balling. Chai coming out of morning. Chai coming out of morning.